Hola, bon dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream. Hope you're well this morning and coping with these extraordinary circumstances that we're facing as we move towards the Easter weekend here in Portugal and obviously in other parts of the world as well. So good morning to you if you are in Portugal. Good morning to you wherever you are in the world. So let's have a look at the facts and figures. We're going to have a look at the future in how else can we do it, but in a mystic Meg kind of way, considering our feelings about what's going on at the moment and how we can translate that into practical action a little later down the line. And I know that, you know, it's these sort of grieving stages, isn't it? Is the denial, the bargaining, the acceptance, and sorry, I've missed out a couple of stages there, haven't I? Last time I looked at that model, I think there were 7 steps or something, and that's what happens to all these psychological models. They keep getting adapted to try and keep up with the complexity of us human beings. But suffice to say, on a most basic level, I am wanting to talk to you after we've had a look at what's going on the most factual basis we can manage with Worldometer and a little bit of news from around Portugal. Our practical strategies. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Because I think we are heading for a storm of a certain kind, SH1T storm, economically after this. And I know it's enough to contend with at the moment in many ways with the fear and uncertainty of the medical situation. But if you will, bear with me and let's look at the practical and positive steps we can take to restructure the future to make it a little bit more resilient and actually enjoyable and right and sustainable and good for everybody, for the common good. But so let's go to Worldometer and see what the global picture is looking like. And I think, you know, what we're hoping, of course, is that we're flattening the curve still, and we are appalled by the numbers, and we're hoping that those numbers are flattened, as it were, and that the trajectory is lessened or you know, flattened. I can't get away from that word, but that phrase I can't get away from, flattening the curve. That is what we're trying to do with our mitigation and social distancing, staying at home, and the sacrifices people are making, and the incredible work people are obviously doing on the front line, exhausting themselves, it would appear. And so there you see 1,434,353 cases. This is internationally. I should stress that straight away. We're not talking about Portugal yet here. This is the global picture. And what would you believe it? Look, the adverts to go with Worldometer telling us about the number of cases around the world. And I'm sorry if I said I'm a bit discombobulated this morning. It's been a busy morning, but let me just rewind and come again. Coronavirus cases, 1,434,353 cases, of which there are now 82,148 deaths. 82,148 deaths. And I'm just saying, look, the advertising around this is for alcohol. For heaven's sakes. And I don't know if that's based on a general view of people looking at this site or just my particular criteria. Probably less said about that, the better. Recoveries, excellent to see over 300,000 official recoveries now. And let's hope that there are many more recoveries that we don't know about. People who've contracted the infection and have moved on and haven't been tested, but that level of immunity is growing around the world. And you can see worldometers.info offers these various graphs of growth. As you can see there, graphs, of course, can be misleading, but I think there is some general agreement about the picture here and what it is we might do to mitigate and minimize the challenge ahead of us here before we move on to that economic thing that I do want to talk to you about later on in this stream. Portugal, as you see there, total cases here now in Portugal, 12,442. There have been now 345 deaths and 184 recoveries. Obviously, more testing going around the recoveries. It's good to see that 184 official recoveries with 11,913 active cases on the go. You're able to, if you use this site, you're able to drill down even further, and there are the headline figures there. And again, graphs from worldometer.info. Going to drill down a little further into some coverage from the Portugal news. Good morning to you, Hannah, in South London. I hope you're still there and locked down. not that I want you to be locked down or stuck in one place, but obviously if you're following the guidelines, that's where you'll be this morning. Hannah, also good morning to you, Claire and Steve. It's the McGibbons, I'm guessing. And Eloise, good morning. And to your listeners, yes, please do talk among yourselves as well. I won't take that as giggling or messing around at the back. I thoroughly encourage that. That's what this is all about. And Stephanie Bennett, good morning all. Thanks for joining us this morning, everybody. If you're a lurker, and we do have this on live streams, people just watch and are either shy or sinister. I don't know which, but yeah, say hello. This is a very fine and friendly bunch of people. And let's continue our conversation as well on the Facebook group, Stay Positive Portugal. Drop me a line as well. Did I put my email address up on there? Yeah, carl@carlmunson.com if you want to get in touch with me to do with anything about the live stream and how you think this service can be improved, etc. But let's go back and look at this Portugal news article. Try and avoid using the word story, doesn't seem appropriate. And this is their update, which goes a little deeper into some of the background numbers. This was, of course, the numbers are out of date. 2 days later, we're out of date, obviously. But what I wanted to tell you about was the breakdown across the country, which I think is useful. This was, of course, as of the 6th of April, but it does give you some idea of how it's shaping up, the background to the numbers here. At that point, 11,730 confirmed cases, plus a further 452 representing an increase. That was on Monday of 4% compared to Sunday. And at that time, of the 311 deaths recorded, 199 were over 80 years of age, 71 were aged between 70 and 79, 29 between 60 and 69, 8 between 50 and 59 years of age, and 4 deaths between the ages of 40 and 49 years old there. Sobering as that is, as we go into your respective age group. Of the 11,730 people infected with the new coronavirus, the vast majority are recovering at home. Just over 1,000, and that's up just by 1%, are hospitalized. 270 of those are in intensive care units. The DGS data, which refer to 78% of confirmed cases, state that Lisbon is the municipality with the highest number of coronavirus infections at 699, followed by Porto with 689 cases. Then there's Vila Nova de Gaia, 518, Gondomar, 489, Maia, 444, Matosinhos, 400, Valongo, 364, 358 in Braga, 278 in Sintra, which is it's a strange kind of local outbreak there, and a VAR of 224. So you can see the numbers tending to concentrate in the north still. Since January the 1st, 91,794 suspected cases have been registered, of which 4,500 are waiting the results of the analyses. The epidemiological bulletin also indicates that there are 75,564 cases in which the test result was negative. The number of recovered patients almost doubled to 140, and that's moving on up excellently in terms of recoveries. North region continues to register the highest number of infections, totaling 6,706, followed by Lisbon and the Tagus Valley with just over 3,000 cases. Then the central region, then the Algarve at 229, and Alentejo, which today, at that point, that was 2 days ago, had 84 cases. 68 people infected with the COVID-19 virus in the Azores, and 52 in Madeira. The DGS, this is the health department, also records 23,470 contacts under surveillance by the authorities, which in any other circumstance would put a chill down your spine. But isn't it reassuring to know that tracking is also taking place of over 23,000 people? The age group most affected by the disease is 40 to 49 years old, and then followed by 50 to 59 years old, 30 to 39 years old, and 60 to 69 years old. And that's presumably infection rather than mortality there that they're talking about. There are still 174 cases of children up to 9 years old, bless them, 285 of young people aged 10 to 19 years old, and in the ages 20 to 29, there are 1,215 cases, and hopefully, mercifully, their young vitality will see them through this. The data also indicate that there are 1,102 cases of people aged between 70 and 79 years old, and 1,459 over 80. This, to me, is interesting. According to the DGS report, 158 cases result from the importation of the virus from Spain, 115 from France, 64 from the United Kingdom, 41 from the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, 41 from Switzerland, 29 from Italy, 23 from Andorra, 20 from Brazil, 19 from the US, 16 from the Netherlands, 14 from Australia, 12 from Argentina, 9 from Belgium, 9 from Germany, 6 from Austria, 5 from Canada, and 4 from India. Bulletin also reports cases from Israel, Egypt, Ireland, Luxembourg, Jamaica, and from Thailand. And a case was also imported from Germany and Austria, and another from Germany and Ireland. There is also a case imported. There are cases from Cape Verde, Chile, Cuba, Denmark. The list goes on, but interesting, I think, to see those concentrations there. 115 from France, 158 from Spain, 64 from the United Kingdom. So the symptoms that are being recognized, according to the DGS, 60% of patients positive for the new coronavirus have cough symptoms, 46% fever, 32% muscle pain, 28% headache, 24% general weakness, and 17% breathing difficulty. This information refers to 77% of confirmed cases. And as I think we know by now, it is caused by the new SARS-CoV-2, and it is an acute respiratory infection that can trigger pneumonia. That's where the problem really begins for people. So I'm going to cough now, which after reading that, it makes me very self-conscious. And I should say, I was listening to a UK radio report which said that the hay fever season is upon us. So that obviously will give people symptoms. And I'm not saying that you should ignore any symptoms you have because it might be hay fever, but that's just something to bear in mind if your breathing becomes a little bit difficult in the next few days. I notice our pine tree that I can see through the window here is shedding its fine yellow dust, and the possibility of allergic reactions, I think, to pollen are coming up at this time of year. So be aware of that as well. Barbara, good morning to you. Barbara Prince, good morning. And George Hunt is tuned in from the UK as well. Good morning, Portugal, he says. Good morning, UK. Good morning, Yorkshire. And apparently God was found roaming the Yorkshire Dales. And when asked what he was doing, he said, I'm working from home. Is that right, George? That's what I read on social media. So it must be true. Okay, so there's the rather chilling facts and figures, which I think that has been the point of doing this, is to update you, hopefully in a brief and fairly upbeat way, have a bit of a community vibe going on so people are able to talk to each other, shout out like they do, wishing each other a good morning, which I think is lovely. Carrying on the conversation in Stay Positive Portugal. That's our Facebook group. And I pop this up on YouTube and make it a podcast as well. Sorry, God was in Yorkshire and he forsook Cumbria. Sorry, George, I always get that wrong, don't I? Good morning to you in Cumbria this morning, tuned in. Let us know how you're doing in your splendid isolation. Okay, so a bit of a talking point this morning as we conclude the show. Lockdown lessons. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? A couple of days ago when you were telling us about, how you discovered that your partner's breathing, for example, was much louder than you ever remembered. And strategies were shared for what to do about that, including putting people in camper vans, spare rooms, and building a new man cave under the guise of creating isolation within isolation, it would appear. Other lockdown lessons gratefully received, particularly the ones that you're going to carry forward. What are you going to do? What are you going to do that you're doing now that you think this is a good idea? I'm going to keep doing this whether there's coronavirus or not. Gary, good morning to you as well, Gary. In these times of shortages and panic buying, I wonder if anyone learned the painful lesson I did a few years ago when I discovered the difference between toilet wipe and toilet cleaning wipes. The phrase always read the label was never so true. Very good, Gary. And I'm guessing there the bleach smarts a little bit. That's superb, Gary. Thank you very much. Yes, really check the label. More difficult, obviously, when you're in a Portuguese supermarket. But don't use the things that you use to clean the toilet to clean yourself, I think, is the moral of the story there. Thank you. See, there's a lockdown lesson, a pre-lockdown lesson that is applicable in lockdown times. So what you guys going to be doing? What are you going to hold on to that you've been doing now? I'm particularly interested in the resilience building that we're going to do, sounding a little bit like Alan Freeman there. Hey, Gary, not half. Yeah, what are you going to do? What are you going to carry forward from these times? And I was going to share a very depressing article with you this morning. I'm not going to now because you don't deserve that right now. But I am going to move this stream service more into the homesteading good life vibe. A few of us, I think, probably met on the Pure Portugal group on Facebook, which I thoroughly commend and recommend. I wouldn't be in Portugal if it wasn't for the Pure Portugal crew. And I think a lot of those people are visionaries, frankly, living a simpler life that's a little bit kinder to the planet and each other, I guess, as an extension of that as well. And, people who are going off grid, people who are investing in renewable energy and sustainable energy sources. I think we've got to look at that, guys. I think, without putting too fine a point on it, we will be taking a bleach-laden toilet wipe has been taken to the economy. Let's transfer Gary's analogy into the economics. And the article I was going to share with you, it paints a very grim picture of what's coming. It's like 2007, 2008. That was the starter, and we'll be moving on to the main course. And we've got this if we so choose. And I think our reliance upon central government perhaps could be balanced better with our reliance upon ourselves and each other. And we've got such good means to share all the intelligence for doing that now and creating a more sustainable good life, as it were, and living more simply. And I think Portugal is no better place than Portugal to do that. Here's a lockdown lesson from Hannah: eat less bread, crisps, and wine. Yeah. I was going to post a picture of our last glass of wine. I say glass, it was a thimble, really. We're down to the last little bits. And it's like, for one of my lockdown lessons, it is like really valuing things, like, post-war consciousness of rationing and stuff. It was self-rationing in our attempt to not go to the shops too much. And what we used to, just used to have like everything on tap. It felt like if you needed more stuff, you just go and get it. And we were very lucky, obviously, to be in that position in the first place. But now, it's like, well, do we eat this bar of chocolate now, or do we save it, or do we just like go down slowly but surely to the last little bits of the chocolate bar, and then you're down to the last quarter and sharing it between me and Mrs. M and 3 kids, hoping that the baby's asleep and he doesn't want a bit as well, so we don't have to cut it too finely with a razor blade. But anyway, wish me luck, because I'm going to go to the shops today on one of my rare trips out. Essential business. Portugal is a great place to grow food. So yes, absolutely. Let's see some pictures of your growth. Are you growing, Gary, at the moment? Have you decided to do that? Without a doubt, Portugal is a fabulous place to grow food. 2 seasons for a lot of things. It's amazing. Just when you thought it was over and we have to wait till next year, you get something fruiting or again for you and producing. It is a fabulous place for growing food. Are you doing it? The rest of the guys, Claire, Steve, Eloise, Stephanie, Barbara, are you growing food in Portugal? Would love to see those pictures. That's the transition I think we're going to make on this on Good Morning Portugal. It's going to be about homesteading. It's going to be about resilience. It's going to be new ways of looking at the economy, our local economies, and localization and that sort of thing. So that's the direction of travel here. And yeah, I'm gonna sign off here. We'll continue to look at the bigger picture, obviously, for the time being. But I have to say, quite honestly, reading you the death toll every morning is depressing, and we need to balance that with something else. I think it's good to be prepared and aware of what's going on, but we need to balance that with something more useful and substantial as well as we go into the aftermath of this. No sooner will we have recovered and dealt with the grief of what the coronavirus has brought, we will be dealing with a similar situation, I think, with the economics. It'll be like, we can't deal with this now, then we have to, and we have to find ways of dealing with that, and it'll be a new grief process. Gary says a small garden. That's how it begins, isn't it? I have a small garden, but having a go. there, Gary. I think it's good to do that, and it can be a daunting process. So again, let's look after each other. Let's share the timeless wisdom of gardening. If you've got a green thumb or green fingers, depending on which part of the world you're from and which euphemism you use, share your gardening insight, please, on this service here. There was an article in the Portugal News about purchasing local fruit, veggies, meat, and cheese from people who would normally sell to closed restaurants. I've followed up with the author of the article, the person mentioned in the article, and the Tavera Camera, but haven't found how to do it. Anyone know? Okay, Stephanie, we will pursue that. Here is the article, portugalresident.com. That's the Algarve-based news service. Look at that. Fruit, cheese, veg, and meat producers to start selling door to door. Wow. I was involved in something like that back in Devon, actually, about 10 years ago. Love local food, and we were taking food around. And what an uphill struggle it was to sell good food to people door to door. You think, how much easier can we make this? But you see, people were locked into the supermarket habit, and we have had a knock to that, haven't we? We've understood how precarious that is. And let's hope we don't go back fully to that kind of zombie march around the supermarket whenever we need something, and we just get a little bit more present to what's going on through this. So there we go. Gardening, absolutely yes, from Stephanie. Come on then, guys. Show us your pictures in Stay Positive Portugal. Or if you're a bit of a gardening expert, join me one morning. I want more guests as well doing this on this stream. It's very easy to put up to 6 people on this call on the screen there, and we can have a chat. We can have a gardener's question time kind of vibe going on, if necessary, or alternative energy, whatever it is we are going to be doing to respond to the economics and our future livelihood and happiness. And I think we'll finish there with a socially isolated adulation from Neil Perkins. I hope he's commending the idea of our developing resilience and the direction of the show. Got a mask on and giving us the clap as well, as it were, so to speak. What a very poor turn of phrase I used there. Brilliant, great idea. Thanks, Gary. I love that. Really, really good to hear a vote of confidence. That's where we'll be moving to. That's all I needed, Gary, was that little bit of encouragement. Take care, everybody. Stay well, safe and happy and positive if you can. And know that if you are having a bad day, that's fine. And hopefully it will pass. It usually does, doesn't it? And we've got each other. Bye for now. Take care. So long.